Okay. Now that brick detail was something that initially started off as an idea that we should do something on this facade which should fall into certain parameters. It should increase porosity, it should act as a thermal buffer, it should have some conversation with the street, so on, so which are very esoteric kind of philosophical questions, right? We knew we wanted to use brick because that was the fastest, most easily available, least requirement for skill, and it kept cost down because we didn't want to do a plaster finish on it and so on. So, fine. Having done that, then we went into a traditional design process and said कि ये करेगा, वो करेगा, टेढ़ा होगा, दीवार ऐसे घूमेगा, वैसे घूमेगा and all. But it wasn't until we actually started working with masons on the site that we understood how much the brick could turn and how much you could corbel it and how much, that was one this thing. So what would happen was we discuss it with the masons, they reject it because they'd never seen anything like it. Then we reach to some kind of negotiated kind of understanding that can this work, can that work, go back, make a 3D model on the computer, come back, show it to them, discuss with them further, then go back, then produce course drawings for every course of brick that came. Having done all of that, we still could not crack one very basic issue, which is very simple for brick masons. I mean, it's the basic, it's like any mason will tell you that it's impossible to make a brick wall until you have a plumb line. Okay? Yeah. Now on that wall, because every brick was twirling, it's impossible to drop a plumb line. And that took us like a really long time to crack, and finally the solution was the simplest. We had every course, right? We just made like these plywood, they're called farmas, but whatever, they're patterns, right? So he'd put a brick, he'd stick the plywood triangle next to it, place the next brick like that, and so on and so forth.
So like
and yeah, now this is something that I couldn't have sat and
done on your own.
Yeah, thought of all by myself. Neither Vaibhav nor I are that brilliant. We needed the input from the mason. He, in that sense, by asking for advice, I don't think we gave up on our position of control. At the same time, we're not in this worldview that, we know everything from scratch. That's just kidding yourself. And that's an unnecessary ego trip to go on, if you ask me. Finally, the fact that we worked out such a simple solution actually helped, because you didn't need master masons. We could have like simple regular masonry teams that were 3 or 4 of them that actually set up the wall simultaneously, so it became much faster. Even though the process of getting at the wall slowed down, but the construction of it was faster because we invested that time and effort beforehand. And that is something that I still tell clients is important, that don't consider design time as a waste of time, because whatever you spend here, it's saving you 10 times that amount on site, and when work starts on site, every second is worth its weight in gold. So so it's better to have a smoother, faster construction process. Once your construction starts, you shouldn't change any decisions. Everything should be sorted. Your working drawing should be in place. Your details should be thought out. Vendors should have been contacted. Their equipment should be incorporated. All that should happen before construction starts. That's what being professional really means.
What about things like certification from like MCD and stuff like that? Which is that something that you as an architect does, or is that a client's job? So
well, certification. See, okay, now it's changed now.
Okay.
When we started, you submitted drawings, right? You sanctioned drawings, and then the drawing was sanctioned, and you were given a certificate to start construction. Then they would come and they check when you did your damp proof course. They check whether things, so on and so forth, and then when you finish, they'd come and they'd check on whether the building complied with the sanction. So what has been approved is exactly what is constructed, and if it is, then they issue you a completion certificate. To be able to submit a sanction drawing and to carry that process forward, you need to have a COA registration, and you need to take it as a responsibility to say that according to me, this design fulfills all bylaws and doesn't violate anything. No fire norms, no nothing. Now what the MCD has, so this was obviously created a lot of scope for corruption in the process. So now what they've done is, it's kind of similar to what happens in the Noida authority, is that you register with the MCD and you don't have to apply for a sanction drawing. You just tell them that I'm making these drawings, I'm making this building.
Okay.
You submit your drawings. Within a week, you get a certificate to start construction. They don't approve of your design. They just let you start. They hit you in the neck when you finish. And if there is any discrepancies found at that point of time, I mean, A, they'll obviously come and demolish whatever is this thing, so which is obviously more painful for your client. And B, you get blacklisted.
Okay.
So in that sense, your responsibility and your stake in sticking to the bylaws is that much better. So it's actually a much better system. It gets the process going more. You don't have a large bureaucracy. You don't have some, underqualified junior engineer sitting and pointing holes in your design and so on and so forth. So it's.
So what about your first project? Since if you want an architect by then, I mean, if you were still so how did that work?
The first project we started the designing.
Okay.
So finally, when we went to Bangalore and the construction started and stuff, we'd already applied for our temporary whatever and so on.
So then
but yeah, effectively we were in our last thesis semester, last couple of months, we'd started. We'd been hired and we'd started.
If you were to say change anything about the way your career has been, I mean, would you go back and say, I don't know, do masters or work?
No, I'm very happy with my career. Very happy. And I don't think, see, when we started, I think Weber was pretty clear that he didn't want to do anything further. Our third partner, he did decide, he took some time, but then a couple of years into the practice, he decided he wanted to do. Initially, even I was not 100% committed to the practice in the sense that I felt that, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot for a year or two, then I'll do it. But that very rapidly, because honestly there was so much happening that I realized that it wasn't something that I was going to stop and then come back to after 2 years or something like that. Then for the longest time, for about 2 or 3 years, I flirted with the idea of doing what are called short-term professional courses. So like a quick course in say Turin on industrial design, 1 month stint in some fancy MIT types or some urban design kind of thing. But as it's panned out, I mean, I'm very happy with the way particularly our practice has panned out, because there's always been something moving and shaking like at regular intervals, which not only, see, one is this whole professional success business, which is whatever, how much money did you make on the project and how big is your office and all that. But honestly speaking, it's now it's in its 9th year now, and in 9 years it's almost, I'd say every 6 months or something, there's a new opening. There's been something that we've been really excited about that we can. So it's not, and now I guess I've realized that finally I don't think I miss not having a postgraduate degree. I don't miss it at all. In fact, I think a lot of times I have better perspective on issues because I haven't been taught elsewhere or taught in a curriculum that was designed say 40 years back or 30 years back. It's at the postgraduate level, it's always, because then you're specializing, so the intensity is much more.
And what about your first project? Would you change the way you design?
Completely. Completely.
Why is that? I mean, what?
I don't think it was a very good design. I mean, I can brush it off by saying bad clients deserve bad designs, but no, I think it wasn't a good design. And definitely do a much better job. The project would be, we would insist on being treated a whole lot more professionally. So everything is would have been hopefully much better and improved. We might have seen some behavioral patterns earlier on in our client to make us realize certain things. So.
What about freedom and creativity in terms of, say, any design? To start with your first project, did the clients have some prerequisite things which maybe want?
Sure.
So how do you?
See, this is largely depends on the kind of project. Okay. So there will be, one kind of parallel to draw is like that of a lawyer or of a doctor, okay, where you know that you're unwell. So in that sense, you know you want to build something. You have no idea what it is, okay, you